Hello everyone, we're about to get started here. Also, I encourage you to read the disclaimer in the description. This is not an encouragement to trade. So I wasn't available for the pre-market session, but we're going to be tape reading and paying attention to what happens here during the news event. We'll take a look. News is coming, pretty sure it's at 10 a.m. All right. So here we are. I'm on the 15-minute chart. I'm probably just going to keep it to one chart for the purposes of the stream, so I don't confuse you guys, because I usually trade with four charts in a layout. Looks like we have equal low setting up. Looks like we have this high acting as buy side liquidity before we head into this new week opening gap. I'm going to mark the gradients, which is the quadrants. Oops. There we go. Going to remove 0 and 1. All right. So we're going to be paying attention. Sorry if my mic was right in my mouth. Sorry about that. If it was like loud. But we're going to be paying attention to how we react to the first quadrant, 25%, and then if we approach consequent encroachment. So I would like to see the news event run up into this new week opening gap, and then as a result we react to it and then head for these lows and potentially these lows throughout the remainder of the day. Let's take a look at the news. Yeah, 10 a.m. PMI. If you don't mind, I'm just going to go share the link to the live stream to the Discord. If you want to join our Discord, it's completely free. Okay, I'm just going to do that. Give me a second here, guys. New to the streaming thing, but we'll be back in just a second. Okay, so it looks like the window is out of range. Classic. All right, let me adjust that. Okay, we should be good now. Sorry about that, guys. All right, so looks like we have movement into the new week opening gap prior to the news event. I like to see it push up further. Again, we have a free Discord available with WBG. Again, we have a free Discord available. All right, so I'm gonna go down to the 5-minute chart on a separate chart. Let's set this up. Hopefully you guys can see this clearly. If not, we'll fix it in the next stream. Sorry to say that, guys. I had a busy morning, but we're here. We're here for the time being. Probably going to cap this stream off at around 10:30. That should be enough time to see what we want to see and potentially trade what we want to trade. But if it's being choppy, then of course we're not going to engage. If we don't see what we want to see, we're not going to engage. See, it's reacting to these new week opening gaps prior. They're going to disappear in a second, but very precise. Should disappear. Okay, I'm just going to keep it like that. All right, this will be the 1 minute. So look at all these equal lows forming. So here, all this in here, we like to see that. And it's not too long after 9:30, so it's plenty of time for stuff to happen. We're still in that sweet spot here. This is the first fair value gap. Just annotating this. Okay. So we're into the new week opening gap, as you can see. Want to see if this was just enough for it to start running these lows, or if we continue higher. Obviously, I'm not going to be trading as we're approaching the news event. But yeah, these equal lows here are a wonderful target. because we're going to get to witness market manipulation in real time. Now, like I said, it can easily come into this range. It may easily hit 25% or 50%. But just want to see it play out. I'm also going to annotate. I might as well annotate the opening range gap. So just going to keep this on the 1 minute chart. Also watch how it reacts to this. Just bringing your attention there before I start annotating and look in the other direction. Also this order block. So if we start disrespecting this order block and eventually head towards these lows, that's what we're paying attention to. So I'm gonna annotate the new week opening gap or opening range gap. Looks like we're gonna head for those lows. I'm seeing a lot of momentum going down. Okay, so obviously a very large opening range gap, which is from Friday's close at 4 p.m. till 9:30 a.m. today. When we have such a large opening like this, usually when it's over 120 points, ICT teaches that you'll expect continuation down. But we want to see how this plays out. So tape reading, if you don't know, it's basically analyzing the charts without trading at all. Okay, I want to see if we stay below this first projection for value gap. Like if another candle closes below it, I want to see it close below it and then come back up and then reject it and then go lower. Essentially like this, because we keep approaching the sell side liquidity. I think the news is just going to wipe out everything. I'd be surprised if they run violently before 10 a.m. But I mean, we are in close proximity to the sell side. They may just run this first right before, and then people will think, oh, now it's going to be support because of these. And then it might run it up again. Right after take the lows, or run it up to retrace a bit and then slam down. These are all probabilities and potential scenarios. So I'm going to bold this a little bit more since it's a much more liquidity sitting around here. Since we built that liquidity and we built this, even more sentiment for people to think it's going to go long. So you see how I mentioned it's coming down and then coming back up to reject it. You could probably see this clear on the 15 or 30 second. And let me make sure this is available for you guys. There. Okay, it's rejecting it. It rejected consequent encroachment right there. So let's see how this plays out. Looks like it's gonna be reversing, or not reverse. I mean, potentially, it is reversing against these lows. So according to the analysis I made in the Discord prior to any of this happening, and especially Sunday evening, I mentioned that I wanted to see it retrace into the new week opening gap and then run lower, and I'm very confident we'll see that. Although, like I said, prior to the news, it may come up here just to entice people to go in long even further and then slam down. But the way this is reacting right here, looks like it's preparing for a major purge. So this is where I will expect it to retrace into. And it disappeared because it's not set up. Okay. Okay, so yeah, this 15-minute, I'm just gonna change this to just the 5. Keep it a little bit clean. Look at all these equal lows just sitting here, and it already disrupted the highs. This high right here, and already drove into the new week opening gap. And with the opening range gap being so large, we expect it to continue. So this order block I'm not even going to consider right now. Yes, it's there. I acknowledge that it's there, but not that important right now. So if it retraces into that, we expect it to, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised at all if it does. Hangs out around here and then dips off. Even if it comes up over here, even if it comes to 25%, I'm still gonna, my bias is still here because of the equal lows and because of the higher time frame bias. Okay, so 9:52. I'm gonna change this to the 5-minute. That's better, right? Cool. So we already disrupted this high from the pre-market, 6 a.m. All the sell side equal lows, relatively equal lows. I'm gonna it's all according to plan, right? Okay, it's driving for these lows. It may even just stop there. I would love it if it stops there, comes up a bit, built even more liquidity here. Now people are thinking, oh, support, buy. I guarantee you it's going to take out this liquidity right here. Yes, we could have been trading this time. Yes, we could have entered the trade, but that's the beauty of tape reading, is sharpening your skills of analyzing the marketplace without having to press buttons or be right, the need to be right. So you see we took out the sell side liquidity right there. Even though it did pass that line, there's still a bunch of stop losses that people place lower. I know ICT says, I think he says like 10 to 20 points below. That's usually optimal for the algorithm to reach for. But of course, we still have these equal lows here, and then those higher time frame lows that I mentioned in the pre-week analysis that are much deeper in here. So I'm gonna see what the 15-second chart looks like. If it's too hectic, then I'm just gonna, okay, I'll stay here. I'll stay here, it's fine. Okay, this is what we like to see. So let's see what happens here. It may come back into this first fair value gap right here, this yellow shaded area. There are some relatively equal highs here. All depends on how violent the news driver is. I mean, we may just drive into here just a little bit more and then drop, or we may take out these as well and then drop, but yeah. Don't think I'm gonna be executing any trades today, to be honest. I'm pretty sleepy. Haven't slept at all, so what am I doing here? Okay, came back into here. Looks like right before the news they might run out these highs, make people think that that was support. Still, it'll look like support like this, even though it took the liquidity from here, and even though it took out this low, it didn't dip further enough for that to be convincing for me. A potential target, looking at the right chart, at the 5-minute chart, would be this. Okay, these relative equal highs here. I want to see how it reacts to this SIBI that it's about to touch right now. It's very possible, like I said, for it to go into the new week opening gap even further. It's very plausible. And again, that's, you don't trade this close to news events. It's disaster waiting to happen. This may turn into an inversion. See, this was a bearish for value gap. Could use it as an inversion, but let's see what happens these next couple candles. Touches a midpoint, consequent encroachment. Let's see if it respects it. Oh, it filled that. Comes down, back up into the first projection, first value gap. Oh, looks like we just rebalanced. They just wanted to rebalance that. But we did. Looking at the 5-minute chart, you do see respect of this. Still bearish. I think we're gonna run those lows in just a minute or two. See how I'm constantly evaluating the probabilities of certain things happening. You may call it predicting, but we're just anticipating and being very logical. Okay, we're allowing for adjustments. We're adapting to what the market is telling us. We're not always changing, like shifting from one bias to another. Yes, we have our higher time frame bias, but we want to be versatile in our thinking. Okay, so remember, I pointed out that this red area, I pointed it out to you before I ran to it. Now let's see if we can hit those lows here. I don't expect it to immediately go for it. I think may see further manipulation and then drop. Okay, so we got in a couple seconds, it's about to come through. Okay, so it dipped even further into the sell side liquidity. It's probably going to take out these right here. Oops, sorry guys. Okay. All right, let's see if I'm anticipating it to drop from here. Don't want to see it go above this first projection. If anything, it could touch it, but I'm anticipating that it just remains below these and then drops. It already did a lot of damage into the stop losses down here. Watch this level, this darker shaded line. Yeah, they're gonna run it. Again, the right chart is 5 minutes. This one on the left is 15 seconds. Every candle is 15 seconds. Yep. Run those lows, run those lows, run those pockets. There we go, guys. There we go. See those relative equal lows on the right? Now, since we took out these equal lows from the morning, we'll see what happens in the next, like, let's say 10 minutes or so. If we start to reverse to retrace further into new week opening gap, but we'll see. But yeah, you love to see it. You love to see it. So I'm not regretting that I'm tape reading. I'm tape reading because I know how to manage myself and just keep myself in a safe space where I'm not at risk of losing anything. I have everything to gain from tape reading. So this is a higher time frame target, higher time frame equal lows, and then this is a daily busy bullish for value gap. We'll either hit it today or tomorrow morning, or potentially overnight. It all depends what happens here. So yes, we could have entered up here. I would have entered in here personally. If I were looking to trade, I would have been entering short here and riding it down to this level right here and potentially holding. And I probably should have used the short position tool, but that would probably clutter up the chart. Don't want to initiate the scatterbrain more than it already is with the rectangles. So we'll see if we respect this propulsion block. If we don't go above 50%, then I'll expect continuation downward. Want to see how this 5-minute candle ends up. If it closes below 50%, then it's a good sign. But let's see. 7, 6 seconds. See what happens. Looks like it's gonna close below. Good. Want to see it continue down, possibly come back up into here and then drop. See how we respected the 50%. Although we wicked over it, we're still respecting it. The bodies respect it. That's what we pay attention to. Okay, so we made our retracement. Kind of how I predicted. And then we respected the 5-minute propulsion block that I pointed out prior. So like I said, these equal lows could potentially be a target for today. If not, then I would expect a run back into 50% or potentially one of these or two or multiple of them and then go lower, but that's a lower probability for me in terms of my expectations. Ideally, like I pointed out in my pre-week roadmap, I would like to see for the beginning half of the week to take out the higher time frame relative equal lows. That's this line right here, and potentially dip into this, and then the second half of the week potentially reverse. Obviously not like reverse completely and go for this high like immediately, but to go in that sort of direction. Okay, so we took that out. This is a bearish for value gap. I just want to annotate the quadrants just in case we see another retracement. It's a consequent encroachment midpoint. And I'll just color it. Why not? So, like I said, I would be holding throughout this entire run and probably set a stop loss. Like, at this point, I would have set a stop loss, like, let's say, at the top of this right here, and then just let it run probably until target would be I would set probably right here as a target. This is a small imbalance right here. I'd probably set that as a target. But yeah. And after looking this candle, I would set the stop loss right here just to like solidify it. So the anticipation that the new week opening gap displaced lower, very large new week opening gap, and then in combination with that, the opening range gap was large as well, and with the narrative of that being we expect it to continue, that is definitely playing out exactly as anticipated. And for those of you who know the OTE, it should be OTE right here. Okay, there's like too many. Okay, that's OTE right there. This to this. So sometimes if I'm unsure of a target, I will use the OTE fib to pick one. It'll either be this, 27%, or 62. So remember how I first started the stream? We saw these relative equal lows being built up, and no matter what, we stood our ground in our bias that it would run up to manipulate and then drive lower once the news event hit. And it was straddling around this area, trying to confuse people and make them think it was support, and especially here when it took out that first set of equal lows, ran upward to make people think like, oh, they had like a sigh of relief, like, oh, like my trade is good now, we're good. Enter more, and then that's when it does what only really ICT traders know what's happening, and then it plays out in our favor. So if I were to enter, like I said, it would have been around this area down to this low. So that would have been 75 points, just about. Yep, pretty much on the button. 75 points. That's like damn near, it's like, yeah, that's half of my like weekly target in terms of points. And if you're trading with the mini contracts, which I don't recommend, but if you were with one contract, that would have been 1600. That measurement I just made, that would have been 1600. Actually, I'm sorry. It would have been around 1400 to 1500. Yep. All right, yeah. That's gonna conclude it for me. Looks like it's just slowing down. It could easily just keep going, or I could, go further in the new week opening gap. But we'll see where this ends up. We'll touch base on the Discord again. Include the Discord with the description in the description below. Feel free to check it out. Completely free server, just a community of ICT traders gathering to share ideas and encourage new traders to embark on the same learning journey in terms of SMC concepts that are taught by ICT. Again, read the disclaimer in the description. This is not encouraging anyone to trade using my personal observations. These are just personal observations of the marketplace that are mine only, not financial advice at all. So anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. I will talk to you soon. I'll see you tomorrow morning.